I can't recall the last time I struggled to pick a Game of the Year winner for myself, but goddamn does 2025 keep delivering. Expedition 33 quickly entered my top 5 games of all time a few weeks ago, but I'm severely doubting myself now because something new has arose. I have just started Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This game is everything I want and need in a virtual experience. As I mentioned in my previous video, go check it out if you haven't already, I'm an absolute fiend for certain game elements, that being immersion, role-playing, and freedom of choice. Most of my favorite games are good at one or maybe two of those things. KCD2 does all three better than pretty much anything I've ever played before. Now, I thought the first Kingdom Come was very good. It was extremely unique. There wasn't and isn't anything quite like it. The story, while sometimes going way over my head, is interesting because it's tightly based on real medieval history. The world is realistic. It gives you an honest glimpse into what life was like back then. You know for a fact all these peasants stink like stale bread and doo-doo. Most importantly, the combat and general difficulty of the mechanics clicked with me. As someone with a pretty short temper and patience when it comes to games, it did take me a few tries to really get into it, but once it clicked, my god, KCD1 was very close to being a masterpiece. But there were a few things that just edged it out of that masterpiece podium alongside games like Red Dead 2 and Cyberpunk. There was just some things missing, and I'm happy to say that is no longer an issue. KCD1 felt like an indie passion project. KCD2 feels like a passion project with the right budget, and the developer's vision finally fully realized. The first 3 or so hours of Kingdom Come 2 have a lot of cutscenes, and naturally for a game this complex, a lot of tutorials. For the most part, it isn't an action-packed or intense intro, and that's exactly what I love about this series. After Henry and Hans' run-in with the bandits, they get rescued by a herbswoman called Bojena. We receive our introduction to several mechanics, namely alchemy, and what I love about this section is how slow everything is. The game isn't rushing to throw you in the deep end in the battles and bloodshed. It's aware that it's only going to appeal to a certain audience, one that won't mind the slow burn. And if the entire game is this slow and immersive, it doesn't have to pretend that it's something it's not, you know? And damn, I missed a lot of these mechanics. Picking plants, following an alchemy manual, and brewing your very own potion. It's so much more rewarding to create your own potions rather than how other games will just have enemies drop all the useful shit for you. Every time I take a swig of my concoction, it feels a lot more hard-hitting because I had to go through this whole process of making it, so I have to make this count. Same with the other mechanics. I love how if your Henry is skilled enough, he can do things that would otherwise require money, all for free, like repairing your armor or sharpening your sword to increase its durability. The game often gives you options between how you do certain things, so if you have the money, you can get a blacksmith to sharpen your weapons for you, but if you have the spare time, save some of that coin and do it yourself. The progression also feels great, even better than the first game. To level up in KCD, you have to do the thing you want to improve, rather than just being given skill points to place into whatever specialty you want. So if you want to get better with your sword, get into more fights, or go train with certain people so you avoid getting harmed. In the beginning, you will still be bad at everything, maybe not as bad as Henry was in the original game. I feel like the devs acknowledged the fact that Henry had gotten better since then, so instead of the game starting off from step 0, it starts you off from step 1, you know what I mean? An extremely simple but memorable moment I've had with the game was after Bailiff Thrush rewarded me with a book after helping him solve a local problem. Like I said before, I'm an immersion freak, so I decided to go up to the tavern, buy myself some food and alcohol, and sit down outside overlooking the smithy that I've been apprenticing at. After consuming my goods, I opened my book and studied it for 6 hours, and just being there in the moment is ethereal as the player. I feel like Kingdom Come is one of those games that don't shame you for wanting to take things slow and play into your role. In fact, where you sit while studying books will impact your comfort level, which changes how long it'll take you to finish reading. So not only does it not shame shame you for role-playing, but it actively encourages it if you want to get the best experience possible out of this game. I won't be covering the main story in this video, but I will say that it is really good. I wouldn't say it's on the same level of writing as something like Expedition 33, but it is certainly better than average. Something I will mention though is that side quests really matter in this game. If you do one early on, later that same character from the side quest might show up in a main story event, which I just find absolutely mind-blowing. On top of having a medieval accurate world, incredible characters, deep mechanics and combat, Warhorse Studios somehow managed to link in a shit ton of side quests back into the main story. I simply cannot wrap my head around how huge and expansive this game is, because I have never seen anything like it. There is no point of comparison. There is no game released before this that is anything like KCD2 or can match it in scope. There just isn't, and there's no point arguing with me. I am stating this as a fact. I ended up missing out on a pretty big encounter that I really regret. To lightly spoil it, before the big wedding occurs in the first part of the game, Henry and Hans Capon split up after an argument, but if you do a quest for this gamekeeper, you can meet Hans way earlier than the wedding you're actually supposed to meet him at. This game has it all. Developers for years have been boasting about their NPC life cycles and how the people of their games actually have a schedule and a job and curfew, but Kingdom Come 2 actually does this perfectly. I assume because certain NPC traits are being simulated at all times, like energy, stamina, hunger, so the NPCs really do have realistic schedules and they get shit done within the day because they have to take care of themselves and their lives. And it constantly reminds you that its world doesn't revolve around Henry. At nighttime, shops are entirely closed. Quest NPCs you may need to speak to are locked at home sleeping. And if you don't think into the future about these potential issues, you will be constantly inconvenienced. The game actively encourages you to think of it as an alternate real life. Basically, game logic that we may have grown accustomed to doesn't apply here. You can't spam food items or potions to heal yourself after a fight because Henry doesn't have a stomach as big as your mother's. Fast travel is possible, but that doesn't mean you're exempt from danger while traveling the lands. And actually, is it just me, or is there a load higher encounter rate while fast traveling than KCD1? Not that I'm complaining, but it's pretty much a guarantee that I'll encounter someone every time I travel, no matter the distance. And by the way, shout out to Mutt. I have played many a game which pits you with a companion, but never has a partner been as useful as Mutt, and I am not exaggerating in the slightest. Mutt will fight at your side, hunt with you, track scents that point toward your objectives, and bark on command to distract the people you're trying to slip past. I don't feel like I use him enough yet, but I'll be sure to do some hunting with him when I'm low on food. I really am trying to experience every mechanic this game has to offer because it's just perfection. A lot of what I've said today are probably regurgitations of things that are also in KCD1, and I'm not about to stop now, baby. But seriously, KCD2 is a loyal ass sequel. It improves on the original in every way possible, but at its core, it is the exact same experience. If the original wasn't for you, this one likely won't be either. I'm so pleased with them keeping the foundations identical though. Kingdom Come has always stood out as being one of the most authentic open world games out there. Every town has its own identity and feel. Every NPC, even the minor side quest givers, have distinct personalities and motives, and the whole world of KCD2 comes alive like no other game has. When you look at other open world RPGs like Ghost of Tsushima or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the maps are massive, full of points of interest with all sorts of regions and biomes, but do any of those Assassin's Creed settlements actually feel distinct from one another? Do you ever really notice when you've stepped into a new region in a meaningful way? Kingdom Come 2 succeeds at all of this. Every village feels like it has its own culture, its own problems, economic status. Some have rivalries with neighboring villages, others speak of local myths about monsters and spirits. I haven't come across a single village where I felt like the side quests weren't worth my time, and I really cannot say that for many other games. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is just so special. Anyway, I've yapped on for way too long. It's time for me to get back to Henry of Scarlet's world. Let me know what you think about Kingdom Come 2. Is it your choice for Game of the Year? And also, consider liking and subscribing. It's free, and it'll mean I allow you to live another day. That's all. See ya.